So you gotta haul some dirt, and you wanna be a player? Then hit us up, and we can pimp your trailer. You got to pimp my trailer. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Let's go! I'm not the only one out here. That was embarrassing. Hey, neighbor. I got a trailer, guys. Ain't she a beaut? Although, there are a couple problems with it. Problem 1, this gate sucks. Problem 2, look how stupid it is to open this box. Problem 3, I have to get out of the truck to dump this thing. Ew, work. Problem 4, I have to manually jack it up like a caveman. Problem 5, there's no spreader gate, and that feels like the best place to start on this. So, let's get this thing moving with a montage. So you gotta haul some... Kidding! We're done with that, I promise. Well, this is about all that can be built before cutting into the trailer, so last chance to turn back and not do all this dumb stuff to the trailer. Ugh, that is miserable. Now then, we gotta put some pillow block bearings up here. Nice. Yeah, I know this is kind of overkill for hinges, but yeah, I had them laying around and there'll definitely be some nice hinges. Now, there is absolutely no way I can think of to make this easy. So, it's time to struggle. Look at that! That's a spreader gate. That's a bouncy one. Oh man, maybe using bearings was a bad idea. Look at that. Ay, ay, ay. So now, we gotta figure out the latching system. Pretty nice in here, huh? Huh? I finished cleaning the garage. Anyway, to open and close the latch on the spreader gate, I'm gonna use these linear actuators. And they only got a 2-inch stroke, so I had to play around in CAD to get it just right. But this is the shape that we're gonna use for the latches. And you might be thinking, what a perfect time to use the CNC plasma cutter. Well, the plasma cutter is a mid-upgrade and not operational. Hopefully I'll have a video of that upgrade soon, but for now, we're stuck doing things the old-fashioned way. I had a bit of a realization, this guy's a little too small to get the job done. So, blam! Sometimes it is the size of the boat. There we go. You can go through and center punch all our important holes and get this thing cut out. Uh-oh. Usually not a good sign when your belt sander is smoking. Blam! See? No CNC, no problem. It only took 3 times as long and they look ugly. Now then, let's figure out how these go onto the trailer. To mount these things, I don't have any long enough 1/2-inch bolts, but I do have a concrete anchor. It's fine. Now our little latchy poo goes on. 2 washers just to get it a little bit off of the face. Latch, another washer, and a nut. And in the future, this will be a lock nut, but I don't have one, so. Now then, this needs to latch to something. Beauty, that's nice. I've gone ahead and welded a little stud into here, to which I can attach a linear actuator. I've added these little feet to it. Yeah, I'm cool with it. So I went ahead and installed the exact same latch on the other side, and I've tacked the original hinges on here, so I should be able to just reinstall the doors, if I did everything right. Well, looks like I did something wrong. Yup, that's the correct way to fix it. Honey. Alrighty, got the doors back in business. I installed a little hook on the bottom. Now it's real tight. There's that hook. I initially made it hook onto the existing, but then the spreader gate wouldn't work. Idiot. So, as you can see, everything's nice and tight. And we can apply this with 12 volts. It unlatches, and look at that. We got a moving gate. Pretty nice. Last thing I need to add to this spreader gate system. This is a pretty cool little outdoor limit switch that I found on Amazon. So, now obviously we don't want this latching while the spreader gate is dangling out in the air. So this will tell the system when the gate is closed. Beautiful. For the electronics on this project, I wanted to avoid using microcontrollers for the sake of reliability. The linear actuators that we use actually have internal limit switches that will stop them at the correct position, so we don't have to worry about that. So the latch system consists of 3 relays. 2 of these relays create an H bridge to reverse the polarity of the linear actuators. The 3rd relay takes a high or a low signal and decides which way the H bridge is flipped. The limit switch is in line with the signal that closes the latches, so it will only be active when the limit switch is closed. Ta-da! So I got wires ran and all hooked up, and I got this signal wire. When this is pulled to 12 volts, it unlocks. And the internal limit switches keep it from going past its limits. So, you know, that's just a nice feature of these linear rails. Now I gotta add a little spacer here for the limit switch because it should be retracting right away. But, you know, I was lazy and just put it on a well. That's not a big deal. I'll just add a little bit more weld. But when that's closed, it latches. Now then, let's figure out how this tarp's gonna work. Yeah, you heard that correct. Tarp system. Somewhere between shooting the intro to the video and finishing the spreader gate, my list of changes to the trailer changed. Now, a pimped trailer means spreader gate, automatic tarp, automatic dump. So, bear with me here. So this is kind of the best way I can think to do this because I need a lot of space. I've gone ahead and stuck this pipe bender into the vise on the back of my truck, and we're just gonna bend our little frame to pull the tarp out here. Looks like we're blocking traffic for a little while. Yeah, that's as far as we can get that here. It's time to heat and beat. That'll do. Now, in order to attach our big old bent piece of pipe, we're gonna need a bearing. I think I'll put it like right here-ish. Now, we can go right ahead and jam this guy in there. Now all I gotta do is get our bent tube in the right place and weld it on there. I like that. Beautiful. So I'm gonna drive this thing with a bigger linear actuator. The problem is I don't really know how to mount this to make it work. So we're kind of stuck doing a bit of trial and error. Just tack it and move it till it works. I don't know how else to do it. So, this isn't working. As you can see by my millions of little cut tacks and the fact that the ram's on the other side, I've kind of tried this thing all over, and I'm not really happy with its operation in any configuration. So I went and I did a little research on how a real dump truck tarp system works, and turns out they're way smarter than me. So generally, they'll have this thing be spring-loaded, and they power it with a motor on the tarp spool, where I was trying to do it the opposite way. And that makes sense, because I ordered some dump truck tarp springs thinking it was for the spool, and they sent me this beefy old boy, which makes absolutely no sense for the spool, but totally makes sense when you got this much leverage. Now, we gotta figure out a way to put this guy on there. Sure would be nice to have a CNC plasma cutter. This is the part I made to hold the spring. The idea being this center section will be welded to the shaft that goes into the bearing, and then the little notch can interface with this little springy doodad. And it adds a little bonus. After hole sawing this piece out, I was able to get these two pieces, which are just catches for the other side of the tarp. Anyway, this goes onto here, like so. And we can shove this spring in there. Then we just need some kind of stationary something or other to go right here. Kind of just think a piece of square tube. Just like that. Looks kind of jank. Either way, let's see if it works. I think it's gonna work. The question is, do I have a motor strong enough to pull that? A Harbor Freight winch. I think this should work just fine. These are the exact forces that it's designed for, and if that thing's 2,000 pounds, then I must be ripped. So I took the winch apart, and it's driven by this little pinion thing, and I did a little bit of a spark test on this. I think I can weld it. This might be really dumb, but here's how I'm gonna attach it. Okay, I thought that was gonna cut teeth in it a little bit, but it kinda, I mean it did, sorta, but it's not as tight as I thought it was gonna be. I'm just gonna go for it, man. Well, there we go. It's in there and it looks fairly concentric actually. Yeah, hopefully that wasn't a big mistake. So I went right ahead and bent up this little piece of metal and mounted it to the winch motor. And this can go right here. Just like that. Now then, we can just go right ahead and attach the tarp using self-tappers. And then do the same thing on the other end. I just hooked the controller that came with the winch up for now, just for a test. This is the maiden voyage. That totally worked. I'm kind of blown away. I didn't expect that to work so well. That works pretty good. One problem, that is a go. So I spent the last hour with a grinder making this little sheet. Boy, I gotta finish that plasma cutter. But this is going to fit over here, just like that. And then these pieces will get bent in. Now it's slightly less ugly. You may be thinking that it's a pretty dumb idea to weld all of this into a case. But one, I don't think it's going to take very much maintenance. And two, if it does, it will always be attached to a truck that has both a welder and a grinder. So, you know, we'll see if I regret this. The electronics for this piece of the project are basically exactly the same as the latch. The main difference being there's a limit switch at the full open and the full close position. We have our relay H-bridge and our third relay, just like the last project. The only difference being when the tarp has traveled to its full closed or full open position, it hits the limit switch, which opens the contact. That way we can just flip a switch and it'll go all the way open or all the way closed. So, that's the tarp system done. The last thing that I want to be able to control from the truck is obviously the dumping. And that I can just do with a couple relays. I don't really got to build anything. The one thing I do got to add is limit switches so it knows when it's all the way up and all the way down. So, let's do that real quick. So I got this little limit switch and I mounted it to a piece of metal here. This is going on the back side of the hinge, and that'll be for the up position on the trailer. Calamity strikes. Look at that, I did a flippy transition out of a flippy transition. Really pushing the fourth wall here. Really, I just came in here to say, like, how good was that whooshing sound effect when I flipped it? The camera just did that by itself. Anyway, back to Calamity. And that's when the footage ends. After this point in the video, I flipped some kind of setting over on my camera, and all the footage had no audio and was in super slow motion. So, dramatic, but basically unusable. Actually, I better make sure we're not on that setting now. We're good. Now there's not much that you missed on the automatic dump. There's this back limit switch. I also installed a front limit switch. Look at that dramatic effect. And then I was gonna do an animation for the electronics anyway, so there you go. Seeing as this is what the trailer is made for, the electronics for the automatic dump are pretty simple. In the trailer, there's already a pin to make it go up and to make it go down. I've just made that controlled by a relay. When it's all the way up or down, it'll hit a limit switch, which will break that circuit, so just the same as the rest. Now the rest of the video, I took the trailer out and picked up some material and went and dumped it. It was all fine and dandy and great ending to the video. Well, guess we gotta do it again. The difference this time is I don't have any material that I need to pick up. So we're just gonna buy some material just to dump it. Anything to get that shot, man. Luckily, the trailer kind of lives attached to the truck at this point, so, you know, no big deal to go drive across town and spend $100 on material just to go spend $50 to dump it. And now that I'm in the truck, I realized the one other thing that you missed is the installation of the switches in the truck. But, I mean, you didn't miss much. You got this nice switch panel on Amazon, and the first 3 switches are what control the trailer. And it hooks up to the trailer using a 9-pin connector. Now, why a 9-pin? Well, that's 6 more features we can add. I was thinking for our extra 3 buttons in here, you guys can pick what I do with them. Leave an idea of any features I should add to the truck, and I'll do the top rated ones within reason. I mean, within reason for me still has a pretty high tolerance of absurdity. My windshield wipers go to the music, so, you know. Anyway, I have to go waste some dirt. We're all loaded up. Now we just gotta do a little beep, and there she goes. Pretty nice. On to the dumping spot. Now cross your little fingies that nobody else is up there, because I'm too embarrassed to fly the drone around my colleagues. Oh, promising. Ah, nice. It's all ours. Alrighty, moment of truth. Boop. Maybe I'll shoot my outro in the dump trailer. That worked awesome. I'm pretty freaking stoked about this. This is gonna save me tons of getting out of the truck, which I hate doing when I'm doing deliveries, so perfect. Anyway, that's what I got for you this time. If you like what you saw, leave a good old danger. Think about subscribing, and thank you for watching.